Well, bonjour, guten tag, and buenos dias. Welcome back to episode 4, where the Thumbs Up team aim to amuse, enlighten, and delight you in their own inimitable ways. As ever, the team has a smorgasbord of delights for you, and they look forward to taking you with them. So grab your popcorn, sit back, and enjoy the ride. Huzzah!
Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of Thumbs Up, the photography show. In this week's episode, Dave and Martin meet up in Coventry for some more street photography, but this time they've got an helping hand.
A lot of time I will just knock it to 5, 6, F8 or whatever if need be.
Then we move on to the Peak District, where me, Martin and Colin get above the clouds, and then Dave and Suggy head to the Arctic Circle.
And can you see the curve of the snow there?
I've just found this old, I think it's a whaling harpoon.
What an episode. This is what's coming up.
Good Lord, car stickers. Whatever next?
Hello and welcome to this little segment of the show. If you saw episode 1, you'll know that the gang, Martin and I and the rest of us, did street photography for the very first time in Whitby, and we really enjoyed it.
We did. And we enjoyed it that much. I thought I'd invite Dave and somebody else from our Thumbs Up photography group to come and do some street in my hometown of Coventry. So we're just by the train station now. We're waiting for Paul Hill to arrive. And yeah, we're going to walk around my hometown and have another go at street photography. I'm really looking forward to this.
And Paul's going to give us some tips because he's actually quite decent at this. So we're going to pick his brains and see if we can't improve our street photography.
My goal is to get a better shot than Paul today. It won't happen.
Game on!
Coventry Station. It feels like the start of so many classic romance films. Except they didn't involve a man with a yellow bobble hat. Shame.
How you doing, mate?
That's it, you're right.
All right, so South and Dave have met up with Paul. Yeah, time to get the show on the road. But first, coffee.
Well, we certainly have some stereotype British weather here, but actually that might make things easier. Not having to battle the sun and hideous contrast.
So yeah, thanks Paul for joining us. Really do appreciate it. Good to see you again. It's been a long time actually. I think last time we met was Cannon Chase.
It was,
last autumn. But yeah, really glad to have you here today because myself and the rest of the guys, we did some street in Whitby recently and we really enjoyed it, but we really struggled. So great to get someone like yourself down here who's I'd say a bit of a pro at it.
No pressure then.
Yeah, just to see how you go about your day really.
Well, it's a good day out. Usually involves coffee shops and a pub somewhere on the route.
Nice.
I could get used to this.
But yeah, just like the fact that you can't plan anything. You don't know what lighting you're going to get. It's good all year round as well. So whereas a day like today you wouldn't be shooting landscapes, or a very bright sunny day you wouldn't be shooting landscapes. Whereas street is great in a sunny, very sunny
Kind
day.
of like an extra string to the bow, if you like.
Yeah, and it's just one of them things all year round, and just pick a city, a town. Doesn't have to be a busy location. You can get shots in any town, local town. Just find your feet if you want to have a go at it. Just don't want to go to the big cities, which might be a bit sort of overwhelming, really. So. Yeah, just go out and it's just being in the right place at the right time.
Thank you. Perfect. So yeah, I was going to ask you about the gear that you use, but because I bought with me today my Sony A7R III, but I bought a lens with me that I bought about 2 years ago. Just a cheap little Pentax 50mm vintage lens from like 1978, I think it is.
Yeah.
And I was messaging you last night and you was on about zone focusing. Completely alien to me, but basically what I understand is you focus to a certain amount at a certain aperture and it gives you a sort of a zone.
Yes, that's it, yeah.
To get
So you're not having to mess around relying on autofocus to pick a person, or you're just looking for things happening in the scene.
Yeah.
So you're not having to, so you'll be metering generally for whatever scene it is, and then you just leave that as its own focus, which will probably, I don't do it myself, but I know a lot of photographers that do, so they don't have to mess around with that. Probably shoot about f8, something like that.
Okay.
Manually focus to, well, depending on what the which lens you're using, you get as much in focus as possible from 2 meters to infinity or something like that. So probably about 2 or 3 meters in, maybe even 4 metres, and you'll get all that in focus that you need to. And then just look for things happening in the scene. It's just a case of lifting up, then you're not having to mess around with your possible hunting around or focusing and things. Or if you've got like face detect, which is something I don't use certainly in crowded areas, because it'll be like that.
Talk us through some of the gear that you're using.
So 2 cameras, 2 primes with me today, but I think this is my favourite. This is probably 75% of the time, and it's 75mm. F1.2, usually shot wide open, so 110mm full frame equivalent is, this one's 27mm, so 40mm for the wider shot if needed, but this is probably the majority of the shots taken today will be with this one.
And what are you looking at here?
Just the reflections, again looking at layers, so you've got the light in the shop opposite, you've got the reflections of some neon lights, just finding some interesting subjects as they're walking through. So it's an old salon, so there's mirrors there as well, so extra reflections, so you're getting the reflections of the inside of the shop in them mirrors, as well as the shops opposite, multiple layers, chaos, the sort of thing that I like to take. And then just waiting for a subject. Face detect on, which generally works quite well with the reflections, because I'm just waiting for one single subject rather than groups. But again, probably 5 minutes most, and then move on, because time to move on after that.
So what I'm struggling with here as well, because it's really quite dark in here.
Yes.
So I mean, my ISO is just maxing out. I've set 12,800 max.
Again, my eyes like shooting fast primes. Yeah. Yeah. I actually love shooting it wide open at f1.2. I love shooting a lot of my reflection shots. I'll be focusing on the person behind the glass, and then everything else is just blurred to give it that abstract view.
Nice.
A lot of time I will just knock it to 5, 6, f8 or whatever if need be. So basically you're going along this street and you'll see a billboard or something. You think, I just need to wait for that subject now to come through. So you stand around for a bit and wait for that person, the right person, to come along. How long you stand around is entirely up to yourself.
Me and Steve did that by that red door, actually.
You
He had to wait for a while.
Generally, I think 10 minutes is probably long enough. After that, I think you look a bit weird and creepy.
And how do you get on with weird and creepy? Do people come up to you and go, "How are you doing?"
No, I've grabbed some shots, and I think one tip that I heard as well is don't try and get a sneaky shot. Don't hide behind a bush shelter. Exactly. Don't hide behind a corner. If you're hiding behind, just saying, "Oh, grab that one." And then quickly hiding that, you look really dodgy. That's what I think the best thing to do is just. I mean, I've seen super shots, they'll just openly just take that photo of them. And I captured a portrait of a woman a few years ago. She was just lighting up a cigarette. She looked up at me like that. And another thing, getting eye contact, which you mentioned on one of your images. It's great to get that eye contact, and then run just in case.
He was about to beat you up, that guy.
So this girl clocked me. She was just lighting up, and she looked up. She got these really big eyes and that, and I got a shot, and it was a really great shot. But I wasn't sneakily taking it, and she just went, "Did you take my photo then?" And I said, "Yeah." I said, "It's a great shot as well. Have a look." So I showed her, and she said, "That's fantastic." I said, "Oh, I'll send it to you." So I got her email address. If she said, "No, illegally you can take photos of people on the street as long as it's in the public," but not that they have, but if someone asked me to delete an image, I would do, out of respect.
Is there anything you wouldn't photograph in the street?
I don't like photographing the homeless. Obviously they make good subjects, but it's sort of, I don't know really.
It's just degrading, I guess. Degrading, I guess.
You're gaining something from their sort of demise or something. So, and also children can be a bit. You're allowed to take children, but I think it's a bit of a.
It's a grey. See, I had this.
We had this in Whitby.
I had this in Whitby, and Steve did get a great shot of that little girl pointing towards that little Chucky doll. I didn't mind that one so much because he's photographed the child, but he hasn't got the child's face.
That was the thing I was going to say. Yeah.
If you were to just walk up to some kid and point the camera straight in their face, I think that's a bit.
Obviously, the parents will probably punch you anyway.
Well, probably, exactly.
That's the thing. Obviously, the parents are going to be nearby, and if they clock you taking photographs of their child, it just. So. I would say children and I've seen a lot of images. It's a popular on street photography where there's kids running through flocks of pigeons. The pigeons are on the floor and the pigeons fly up and they grab a shot and they'll be like, grab a few shots. Shots like that are probably okay because you know you could just take in the pigeons. Again, if the parent says, "Oh, you can take a photo of my child," I would delete it. It's one of them things. So I think it's a bit respectful for the parents and that. So they're the only two really.
Should we go and shoot some street?
That's what we're here for, isn't it?
That's brilliant. Right, let's drink up then. Let's go and do stuff.
And then as we're heading to our next coffee shop.
I've really enjoyed that segment on the street photography. Thank you very much, Paul, for coming and meeting the lads there in Coventry. My local town as well, by the way. And now I can't wait to actually get out and do a bit of street photography. But for now, let's get above the clouds in the Peak District. Yesterday on our Thumbs Up Photography page, there was a lot of images coming up from the Peak District inversion, and this morning it was very similar conditions, so half the admin team have come up to see what we can capture. Now it's not really the inversion we've come for atmosphere in the woodland, but it's supposed to last a good part of the day, if not all day. So why not try and get above that cloud, catch some shots before we head into the woods? It just makes sense. So that's what we're doing. And it's beautiful. It doesn't matter about capturing it, it's just beautiful. What I'll do is, while you take all this in, I'll pass you over to Martin.
So as Steve mentioned, we've got an absolutely beautiful morning here in the Peak District. Got some lovely pinks behind the camera there. I've started off this morning before the sun comes up with my telephoto lens on, just picking out little details within this inversion. I've taken 2 shots already. One is on the bottom right hand corner here where you've got this hill that's leading down into the fog below, and it's just some lovely layers there. It's really, really quite nice scene where you've got that contrast between the actual fog itself and then the side of the hill, and then you've got these trees just poking through. It's really quite nice. And I've taken another shot as well with my 100 to 400 on. I was pretty much at 400mm right out into the distance over there. The shot's actually gone now because the fog's kind of dissipated a bit, but basically it looked like there were 2 little islands. You had one on the bottom left hand corner and then one on the top right hand corner, kind of these little islands just poking above the mist. Real minimalist, but I think it's really quite effective. And I'll pass you over to Colin and see what he's got.
Yes, thanks Martin. Yeah, we're at, like Martin said, we're at Surprise View, and we've got this beautiful, more or less 180 degrees we've got of inversion around us. And what we're actually waiting for at the minute is the sun is not far from popping over the horizon behind us. And with a bit of luck, it's going to cast its light on the inversion here and turn the whole lot to a pinky sort of shade.
I think I'm going to head down there a bit, try and get some of these silver birch with this lovely backlit sunlight, morning sunlight. It does look phenomenal. Yeah, I think I'm going on a little walk down there.
So welcome to another little segment of the show. Gary and I are in Lofoten in Norway, and we've come to a little village called it's just spelt with a capital A, and it's snowing. There's a snow kind of cloud above us, but we've decided what we're going to do is explore this little village on our own. We're going to walk around, wander about, and look for some detailed shots to really capture the essence of Norway. So hopefully you enjoy this little bit. Where is he? He's over there.
Well, thanks Dave for setting me that challenge to try to find some details as we wander around this little village. Keeps in the odd little bits and bats. Obviously it's all fishing related, but first thing I've noticed is this door. I like the door, and it's got a thing. It's got a thing hanging on it. No idea what it is. I just like the shape and the form. I like the slats of the wood. So I've zoomed in. I think this is my first image.
First shot I've got in mind is something like that, with these cod heads here. Cod heads are hung up to dehydrate over the, I don't know how long they're left out for, but look at them, they're gruesome. But the idea is the shot is going to have these in focus, and then in the background we've got some boats here, unfortunately, which I don't particularly like, but they're not too bad. But there's some little red houses. So the idea is a long lens, just so I can throw the background out of focus, but also I can compress it so I can just get the house in. So let's shoot that now, and I'll talk you through what I'm doing. Right, and there's the idea of the shot. So focused up on these cod heads, and we've got the little red house in the background. I'll just show the settings. f6.3, 64 ISO, 20th of a second. And I might end up, I'll just get rid of that display for you. I might just crop it into a square, kind of that bit. I think that's the shot.
That window's unusual. Could that be image 2? Well, what a task has challenged me. I mean, this stunning vista, this stunning location, and I just keep seeing the bigger view, the bigger vista. I'm struggling to see the detail. I'm really having to zone in. I've just found this old, I think it's a whaling harpoon. That's interesting. I'll see if I can make something of that, but I'm not sure. Yeah, I think this might be my next image.
Right, here's another little scene. Now you might not see anything here, you might do, I don't know. But for me this is about telling the story of Norway. So we've got this little, that's better, little house, and can you see the curve of the snow there? I really like. And then the red and the blue. The colours look nice, and there's a little abstracty thing here. So I've turned the camera portrait. I'm going to shoot this a bit wider because I'm going to crop this to suit in post. What I don't want is have anything else in the picture that's going to detract from that kind of abstract feel. So that's the composition. I've got this curve of the snow coming up, a little blue window, or the window frame, a red building. Might cut the top out, might make this into a square. I quite like that, but I'm using a 20th of a second. Because I want to get a little bit of blurred snow in the foreground, which is obviously falling now, and that adds to the effect of this cold Arctic Norwegian feel that we're trying to capture. Just a little abstract shot, having a little play with it. Might boost the colours a little bit. Let's see. Here comes the image now.
Well, I'm not sure if this counts as a detail. I don't know how detailed he wants the details to be. So what I've spotted is just a little gap between a couple of buildings. And you've got a lovely mercury liquid metal like reflection, absolutely beautiful. Mountain behind, and I'm struggling to get that in. It's still stunning. Absolutely loving this village, really beautiful. Right, I'm going to wrap things up and hand over back to one of the other guys as I'm stood here next to some of that dried cod I mentioned that does smell a bit fishy. It's hardly surprising. So yeah, back to the other guys.
Managed to get a photograph that I quite like. These three trees, a bit of atmosphere behind. Again, the road's running through, but you can't see the road as such. It's running through. Because of the atmosphere, you can't really recognise it as such. It's quite nice. I might even go down a little bit more because as I move to the left, that fog's a bit more dominant there. I'll do that now while I've got the opportunity. There's a couple of other trees that are just sticking out. I'm glad I've come down now, actually, even though the view from up there is fantastic. And we'll have to see, actually, how they're getting on.
I've just been saying to Colin, what a fantastic way to end the year. This is incredible, absolutely beautiful. Again, I'm just picking off shots left, right and centre. I've got a whole bag full of shots. Whether they're any good is irrelevant. I'm just enjoying this. This is amazing. As I say, if none of these shots work out, I don't care. I'm having a fantastic time in an incredible location with amazing views. And for me, that's what landscape photography is all about. just getting out to places like this, just taking it all in, just really enjoying it. A good couple of mates. End of the year, what more can you ask for? This is just incredible. So yeah, I'm gonna carry on shooting. That's all I can do. Grab loads more shots. I'm not gonna bother talking through compositions unless there's something I wanna really talk to you about, but yeah, just enjoy the ride, just as I am. Here, witnessing this, beautiful views. What more can you ask for?
Dave Suggy, loving Lofoten. It looks absolutely amazing. Love the little challenge as well, really interesting. And something totally different from an amazing place as well, which is really good. It's good to think out the box. And while we're on the subject of ice, snow and the cold weather, why don't we head over to me and Colin, because we chat about how we keep warm in the cold weather.
Well, it's not very warm, is it?
It's absolutely bloody freezing. I'm absolutely froze.
Some cracking trees here, mate.
Question for you.
Go on.
Right, Colin, how the bloody hell do you keep your hands warm? How do you do
I
it?
just snap my like that. And then me and fingers about the same time.
Yeah.
Because centrifugal force.
Yeah. Well, I got told, swing your arm round really fast.
Yeah.
That's centrifugal force.
That's right.
Blood rushes to your fingers, and it works.
I found for me when I do that, my fingers get cold because of the speed you're spinning them at.
We keep gloves on. But it does work, but you can get hot aches from it.
Yeah.
And it's only temporary, or I haven't switched it on yet. But I got my heated vest on.
Oh, right,
Actually,
okay.
I'm not switched on.
Do you got any pockets?
Yeah.
Do you know what? I've got some hand warmers that you fill up with lighter fluid.
Yeah, yeah.
And I keep forgetting to bring them down.
We can even get power. Right, can't you?
I don't go for the electric one because once they've discharged, you've had it.
Yes, yeah. Well, this has got the power pack here,
Yeah.
and if it's on full whack, it's supposed to last 3 hours, which is normally a morning's work, isn't it? So it's quite good.
Yeah.
And it's great on the back. But really, yeah, you almost need 2 pair of gloves. One in the, I mean, I got my Valorettes, but I always suffer with cold hands.
I do, but only because mine have been smashed. My fingers have been smashed that many times.
Yeah.
With dams.
Yeah, well, we're both in the same boat with that, aren't we?
That's right, yeah.
I think that's what it is. And got no skin on my fingers
Yeah.
and things like that. They've wore out over the working hard.
I've got an equivalent pair of the Valorettes.
Yes, yeah.
The Ridge Monkey ones.
Yeah, yeah.
And to be honest, I got the wrong size. They're too small.
Right.
So when you got things that are too small, they
Too
your fingers
tight.
and they're too tight.
Yeah.
They don't keep your hands warm.
Yeah, it's like having boots that are too tight. You'll get cold quicker. Won't
That's
you?
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or even putting 2 pair of socks on, I find worse.
Yes.
If it's tight in your boot.
Yes.
Because no air there, isn't
That's
there?
right.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm considering getting a pair of the mittens.
The mittens are the
Where
best.
The hole comes
Yeah.
over.
I've got some Valorette mittens.
Have you?
Yeah. The problem with the Valorette mittens, but I think they've changed them now, is the inner glove is too slippy. It's not got the grip on, but I think, I'm not 100% sure, but I think the new ones have got a bit of grip on.
Yeah.
But they work well, but when we used to go skiing and things like that, mittens are the best gloves to keep your hands warm.
Yeah, yeah.
Because they've got that pockets of air in.
Yeah.
So but yes, it's been cold this morning. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Thumbs Up, the photography show. Loving the street photography. Can't wait for part 2 of that when they get out in the streets and actually do some photography. That should be really interesting.
So I have no idea what you're seeing there.
Tell me the story about that.
I just love shooting from inside phone boxes. I sometimes sort of gauge the sort of person I'm going to take a photo of. If the chance I could get chased, I might avoid taking the shot, no matter how good it is.
Loving Lofoten. Lofoten looks amazing. And it's nice to see something different from Lofoten as well, rather than epic views. We've done it almost, dare I say, a little bit of street again. But Lofoten looks amazing. Dave Suggy done a fantastic job there. I'm sure we'll see more of Lofoten in further episodes. I'm sure of it. Peak District was amazing. Me, Martin and Colin had a fantastic morning there, above the clouds, above that inversion. We really had a fantastic morning, and it's great to bring you along on that journey as well. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to give us a like and a thumbs up. Talking a thumbs up, why not join our Thumbs Up Photography Facebook group? There's a link in the description below. There's also a link to all our individual channels as well, so go and check them out. But for now, I'm off for a coffee. I'll see you soon.
Well, while you appreciate the fruits of the team's efforts, let's explore what's going to happen next time on Thumbs Up Photography. Well, Gary just pops back to Norway, as you do. Dave has opened up his wallet and spent his hard-earned cash on some photography gear.
Chop, chop, chop.
All right, Staney, you demanding monster. Anyway, the team goes up north to Staithes in Yorkshire to capture a classic view or two, and it's part 2 of the street special. Whew, I don't know if I get around this lot. Anyway, I'll shut up. You enjoy. See you next time.